much, Gabriella, for joining
Thank
us. So I'm here with the director of Blackfish, a fabulous new documentary that's coming out when exactly?
July 19th, it opens in New York and LA, and then July 26th, it opens nationwide.
And can you just tell us how you just came across the story, what made you want to tell Tillicum's story and the trainers of SeaWorld?
I just was confused by that question, the question I just described, and that is, why did he make the decision to kill her? It just didn't square with anything I knew about killer whales, and definitely nothing I knew about SeaWorld. I thought that was a place where trainers and killer whales got along. I was finishing my former documentary and was looking for a topic, and I remember hearing about the story in the media, and I'm a mother who took her kids to SeaWorld, so I had really great memories of that place. So I think that was kind of my entry point, to deciding to tell this story, because as I started asking these questions and searching for answers, I realized if I had this many questions, so would everybody else.
Right.
So,
I mean, the way the whole movie, the trainers, how SeaWorld's portrayed, you don't point fingers at anyone. You tell everyone's story equally. So how'd you go about getting in contact with the trainers and working with them? Because I truly believed they didn't know what was happening. You convinced me that these people were victims as well as the whales.
I think that they had become vocal after the death of Don Rancho, so they were already speaking out, because I think what they heard, come out of SeaWorld after her death, didn't make sense to them. So they became vocal in the media after that. And so I knew they were ready to speak, but I think that they needed to know that this was going to be a true documentary. I think a fact-driven, kind of legitimate piece, and those are all the caveats that I had for myself. So they agreed to come aboard and place an enormous amount of trust in my hands.
How'd you go about finding your research? Because you could tell, because you had real life the police attack reports and the way you did the courtroom.
Yeah. No, I think it's just amazing. So much of this information is out there. Right. I didn't break into any secret vaults. I didn't do any. It's sort of. I think it's encouraging that there's a lot of information out there, and once you kind of turn your ear to it and realize that maybe the story you're hearing is not necessarily the real story, you just have to search and be really dogged and persevere, because people are going to tell you there's no information, or they're going to tell you you're not allowed to read it or use it or whatever in your film, so you just have to sort of persevere.
Right. I mean, is there anything else you want to say really quickly about the film, like how you feel?
Yeah, no, I think it's I wanted it to be story driven. I wanted it to feel like a story. I didn't want it to feel like me throwing a bunch of facts at you, because then it would start becoming manipulative, and there's just a ton of stuff I could have put in there and shoved in there that I didn't,
Right.
So because I really wanted it to be a compelling story, I really want everyone to be able to sit down and see this. I want people to be able to take their kids to it and not feel like it's going to be medicine, and not feel like it's going to prescribe stuff and tell you how to go live your life. I want you to be able to sit and not check out for 80 minutes, and that's hard with the documentary. So I knew I had a chance to do that if I just kept disciplined in terms of the storytelling and gave people something to kind of keep them in their seats and drive that narrative, I guess.
Last question before we wrap up here. Obviously, these animals are beautiful, and they I feel like they have a higher sense of emotion and knowledge. Do you feel like the killer whales do, and if other animals do?
Right. I think one of the most shocking kind of revelations or whatever that came out of researching this film was our neuroscientist Lori Marino, who talks about the brain and how there's I used to think when people said that animals have a higher form of intelligence, it was just kind of this spiritual kind of way of trying to connect with animals or talk about them. I never understood really what people were talking about. When you look at a killer whale brain, it is the science of the brain. It is just so incredibly complex and foreign to us, and just the physiology of it. And then the idea that this is a brain that essentially has everything that we have, and then it has something else that we can't even identify because we don't have it. We've never seen it. So it's that something else that I think people say maybe they're capable of more, maybe they're more intelligent, maybe they're capable of more emotion, who knows? But just to imagine, you know, that they're potentially capable of much more than we're capable of was very eye-opening for me, and made it that much harder for me to reconcile the fact that we put them in these pools.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Gabriella.
Thank you.
And everyone, check out Blackfish. It's so worth the price of admission. I can't even tell you. And it will be premiering in select theaters around when exactly?
July 26th, and it actually will open nationwide. It will open also in New York and LA July 19th in select theaters. So please come and see us. And then in the fall, we also have another run after it's had its theatrical run. It'll be on TV, on CNN Films. So it'll have a broadcast life. So you'll check it out no matter what.
Definitely check it out. Get a flight to New York. Do whatever you can to see this movie. And also make sure to like us on Facebook, tweet us at POA Reviews, and subscribe to our channel and like this video. Thank you so much, and you're watching The Price of Admission.